Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to check out the other of the newest Attack Pack figures that have just recently started to hit Walmarts across the United States. This is the Proceratosaurus. This is also the final Attack Pack figure from Mattel. There will be no more Attack Packs after this. They are now changing them to Wild Packs. So I guess technically there are still going to be Attack Packs, but they won't be titled Attack Pack. They'll be titled Wild Packs moving forward. So it's a pretty historic figure, I would say, as far as this one goes. But as far as the box art goes, it's pretty much your standard box art, the usual. As far as the Camp Cretaceous line goes, looks really, really nice. And then here on the back, we can see some of the other figures that are actually in this wave, which would be the Troodon, the Coelurus, the Proceratosaurus, and Bumpy, the Ankylosaurus, which I actually just spotted these figures at Walmart, my local Walmart, the other day. Funny story is I actually ended up ordering this one off of a seller on Mercari because I just kind of broke down. I was having no luck finding it, and then I ended up purchasing this one off of a seller on Mercari. But at the same time, I ended up finding this figure in store at Walmart the same day that this one arrived in the mail. Even more so ridiculous than that is the fact that my buddy Greg from Dino Scream Reviews, who was on the hunt for one for me, also found another one of these on the exact same day. So I officially received this one in the mail. I also found one at Walmart and was offered one from my good friend Greg, all in the same day. So it was really meant that I was apparently going to get this Proceratosaurus on that day. But the figure looks incredibly cool, so we're going to go ahead, break this open, and check it out right now. So taking a closer look at our Proceratosaurus, now out of the packaging and looking really nice, you can see that the sculpt is exactly the same as all of the previous Proceratosaurus figures. And we have had quite a few of them so far from Mattel, although this one is just gorgeous, like as far as the paintwork goes. I really am a big fan of this one. It might be one of my favorites so far. But again, the sculpt is exactly the same, so we don't need to check out the actual sculpt of the figure, only what's new, and that would be the paint application. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Proceratosaurus, you can see that there is a really nice dark blue as the primary body color, and then you see a nice darker brown and an orange that kind of mesh back and forth and mix together, which I think looks really nice. And there actually appears to almost be like a different shade of brown right here in comparison to the back of the neck, and right here definitely looks to be a little bit of a different shade. There's also a bit of a gloss coat, which you can definitely tell looking at it right here, to the face and the brown and orange paint. Sometimes I like that Mattel does that, other times I'm not a big fan of it. I actually think it does look pretty nice on this one specifically, so that is definitely a plus this time, but it doesn't always look that great on their figures. The eye is painted with a really nice yellow, it's perfectly placed, and the eye also has a black pupil, which is super awesome because sometimes Mattel skips out on the black pupils and just kind of gives us, the coloration that would, be behind the eye. In this point, it's definitely something they could have done because they have that darker brown, but they chose to go the extra mile and give us the black eye paint as far as the pupil goes. So kudos to Mattel for doing that because I always think their figures just look so much better when they are given the black pupil. Of course, we do have an articulated jaw, and once the mouth is open, you can see the inside of the mouth sports a very nice realistic coloration in there, as well as a gorgeous gloss coat, so it shines very realistically, having a nice saliva-like look in there. Unfortunately, the upper side of the inside of the mouth does not have any paint on it. It's just the same color as the rest of the dinosaur as far as that bluish color. The teeth do look really quite nice for the most part as far as the paintwork goes, but you can see some sloppiness. Not too much, but there's definitely a little bit of sloppiness to the teeth going on, which is a little, very, very slight downside, but for the most part it does look really quite nice. And then you have that beautiful eye paint again over here, really nice, very precisely applied, which is a huge plus because sometimes Mattel as well gives us the sloppy eye paint treatment, but I actually haven't really been seeing that too much lately, so hopefully they are improving upon that. We also have a lighter coloration for the lower jaw, and you can see that lighter coloration runs down here onto the throat and down into the stomach. It ends right here. After that, we only have that blue body color. We don't have any type of like a speckling, or at least not that I can pick up on for the most part. It definitely doesn't look like it has a speckling, which is interesting because most times Mattel usually does include the speckling We also have that brownish paint that runs along the back, and that as well ends right before the tail, which means that we don't have any paint on the tail as per usual, which is a downside, but it's not that bad because the figure still looks incredible. Unfortunately, we don't have any nail paint on either the hands or the feet, which is, again, a downside, but I still think the figure is definitely really, really nice looking overall. Here is the Jurassic Facts app to add this to your collection if you would like to, but the figure, again, looks great. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's a beautiful Proceratosaurus release from Mattel, and I'm really psyched to finally have it. I will say another plus to this figure over the recent Coelurus Attack Pack, which was the other new one that went with this line, is that this one balances really well. The Coelurus just does not stand for me at all. It's actually really hard to get it to stand, but this one balances perfectly. As far as articulation goes, we do have the articulation in the jaw. Unfortunately, we don't have articulation in the neck. The battle damage version of the Proceratosaurus had some gorgeous articulation in the neck, which I love, having that kind of swivel-like articulation that some of the raptors have. Unfortunately, though, the attack packs are not graced with that beautiful articulation. We do have articulation in the arms, though. Both arms, of course, which means we can put the arms in a bit more of a natural position. And then we have articulation in the legs, of course, both legs, as well as the tail, which can swivel. So quite a bit of articulation for our Proceratosaurus. As far as a size goes, for a length, you were looking at about the, I would say about 6¼ inch range, or about the 16 centimeter area. And then for a height, if we go to that tip of the snout right there, you were looking about 3¾ inches, or around 9½ centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Clovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Proceratosaurus, and you can definitely see that it does sport a smaller size overall. Again, being an Attack Pack, you probably already have a good idea of what the size is, especially if you've already purchased one of the previous Proceratosaurus Attack Packs, as again, it's the exact same sculpt as the others, but if not, hopefully these figures here in comparison will help you out. So this final Attack Pack from Mattel, the Proceratosaurus, is a sad figure, but a beautiful figure. It is sad to see the Attack Pack name go away. In a way, it's not that big of a deal. We'll have the Wild Packs, but the fact that the Attack Packs are going away, that's something that we've had since the initial onset of the Mattel line. They've always been called Attack Packs, so for them to now transition to Wild Packs is kind of a historic moment in the Mattel line. But as far as this figure goes, I absolutely love it, and personally, it's definitely one of, if not the nicest versions of the Proceratosaurus that Mattel has released so far. I think the coloration that they chose for it is just picture perfect. I would have liked a little bit more paint to kind of run out onto the tail, but even though it doesn't, it's still a gorgeous looking figure as far as the paint application that they've given it. Really nice darker tones of color, which I am a big fan of, and I like the lighter coloration there for the underside as it just highlights the face a little bit with that orange, and the off-white on the lower jaw just really makes the entire figure's face kind of jump out at you, as well as the entire underside, really, until we get to the area where it kind of tapers off. But the upper side is a little darker, not so vibrant and beautiful in a way, but I think all of it just plays off of each other really well as far as the colors go. The sculpt is, of course, beautifully done. Mattel pretty much never releases a sculpt that isn't fantastic, but the only thing that I would say, of course, is wrong with this one is the fact that the tail is a bit shorter, and we usually do have shorter tails on the Mattel figures, which is usually a downside, but the Proceratosaurus I always felt like had the shortest tail. Like, it's just really, really short. They definitely could improve the figure, and all of their figures for the most part, if they would improve the tail length in the future and even lower the size of the feet, but at this point, it's just kind of something we're used to when it comes to the Mattel line, so I can't really complain about that too much. Overall, this is an incredibly beautiful Proceratosaurus from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line, and I do want to state, if you find this figure in store at your local Walmart, you'll probably have a little bit of a hard time paying for it, because right now these figures are still not in the system, which I had quite the ordeal going on when I had purchased my second Proceratosaurus and Coelurus the other day when I had found them, and the employee did not want to sell them to me, stating that because they were not in the system, that they were not going to sell them to me. and she actually snagged them right out of my hands. Unfortunately for her, she did not realize that my wife was waiting right around on the other side of her, so when she turned, my wife snagged them right back off of her, and then we went to the customer service, and they allowed us to purchase them there. So you may have a little bit of a hard time purchasing them at your store, but if you do, just take them to customer service. They should help you out as far as buying them. But again, it's a beautiful figure. If you do find it in store, I definitely recommend picking it up. And otherwise, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.